swear to God, not making a joke.
Check this out.
New shows? Check.
We are Force!
Some new talent? Check. Let's welcome the guys.
Let's get it going.
Arnie Spanier.
Unbelievable.
TJ Reeves.
This is what you get.
Your weekends are on fire.
Because that's how exotic it is.
We are Force!
Hospice of Marion County has an urgent need for volunteers to share a conversation with someone, run errands, hold someone's hand. All you need is a willingness to help others. Our volunteers believe the blessings they receive far exceed the services they offer. Will you consider serving, caring, and making a difference? Call today, 873-7441. Hospice of Marion County, making more moments of life possible.
One of the most common questions those nearing retirement are asking, will I outlive my money? Retirement questions like these and many more will be answered every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on Planning for a Better and Safer Retirement with hosts Francois and Julian Pozenet. Francois and Julian will help you put your retirement puzzle together. Catch Planning for a Better and Safer Retirement Saturdays at 9 a.m. on Ocala's News Talk, The Source 96.3 FM and 1370 AM.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala!
All right, 25 minutes before 11 o'clock, we are really all in this together. You know that? We really are. I was looking at something the other day that was talking about the mining industry and how the things we get out of the earth become the components in our computers, and the different elements, the different natural minerals, I guess, that they can extract from the earth, become so many different things. They become pharmaceuticals. Now, whoever figured that out? I wonder how they did that. How do you dig something out of the earth and say, oh, you know what, this would be good for? This would be good for your kidneys, or this would be good to work a computer, right?
Yes.
And then you say, really, do we have enough stuff in the earth to do all this stuff? It's just amazing sometimes when you realize how smart some people are. So don't ever be full of yourself, because there's somebody out there who can figure out what to do with dirt.
Exactly.
And solve your health problems and make a computer and all that stuff. Peter Neal is on the phone. He's the founder and director of the World Ocean Observatory. It's a web-based place of exchange for information and education about the ocean. This is so fascinating to me. One of my favorite things in Epcot is that the Great Seas, that thing called the Great Seas.
Oh, the Living Seas?
The Living Seas, thank you. Peter served 20 years as the president of the South Street Seaport Museum in New York. Oh, okay, good. And his book is called The Once and Future Ocean, Notes Toward a New Hydraulic Society. We're going to talk about how the ocean holds the solution to our survival. Good morning, Peter. How are you?
Good morning, Larry. Great to talk to you.
Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from down east Maine. It's about 12 degrees and a snowscape, but it's not too far away from the ocean, so I'm doing fine, thank you.
Oh, excellent. Now, we've kind of always suspected that there was a lot of resources in the ocean that we might be able to use, but it's not as easy to get to as, let's say, digging a mine in a mountainside, right?
Well, yes, and I was quite interested in your lead-in about mining, because one of the most valuable things about the ocean that really people don't quite understand at all is that within the ocean, and particularly within coral reefs, there is an enormous reservoir of pharmaceutical opportunity. Many of the drugs that are now in testing for cancer have been identified and synthesized from marine species. And there are literally millions of species that we don't even know about. And so when you think about the connection between emissions and acid and changing pH, which is the acid in the ocean, which is what is killing lots of coral reefs, you realize that indirectly and unknowingly we are essentially destroying our future medicinal pharmacopoeia.
Oh, thank you for saying that. And so many other things. I have often said this. Now, I'm not trying to make an argument for or against global warming, but since there is an argument, I would always say this. Look, we can't agree whether we're making the world warmer or not, but we certainly, how can you argue that we're not making it dirtier? I mean, that's an easy one to see. So let's just clean it up, and if it makes it less warm, then so be it.
Well, we're also exhausting the land, just as much as making it dirtier. We're exhausting it. We're beginning to essentially have already taken from it as much as we possibly can, not just in oil and gas and coal, and other raw metals, but also in terms of its fertility. We have over fertilized. While we've made this enormous production advance in the last century in terms of food production, we're also at a point now where we're going to have to look to new places from which to derive our food, and of course the ocean is that place too. What my book is about is the fact that we all need the ocean in equal amounts. And by ocean, I mean all of the circles and cycles of water, which is 70% of the Earth's surface. It rises into the atmosphere. It descends to the mountaintops and down through the lakes and streams and back down to the coast. It also makes up of most of our body. So it's the one thing that all of us need in equal amounts, whether we're rich or poor or north or south or from whatever place of origin. It doesn't matter. It's a global phenomenon. If we don't have that system healthy and sustainable, it questions our survival.
Yeah, I mean, it is such an important message. I think it dovetails with the global warming message, but I think it's an easier pill to swallow. First of all, if you have any political reasons for debating it, I don't see what it could possibly be. I mean, it makes no. If you think about how industry started with all of their wastewater going directly into the oceans or into the rivers,
right,
which took it to the oceans, that was because we were naive and ignorant. And I guess we can excuse ourselves for that. But now it's time to say, gosh, we were ignorant. We need to change that. We can't be stubborn and have some kind of a political reason to continue doing what's been bad.
Well, that's true. And there, I'll just speak to two things on that. I believe in the sort of what they call Pascal's wager, that you could say, well, maybe there's global warming, there isn't. If there isn't, okay, fine. But if there is, what if we fail to take steps? What if we fail to meet those challenges?
Yeah.
And the consequences could be dire. So you can make a bet. It's a kind of a risk assessment kind of equation.
Right.
Beyond that, though, we have all of these other phenomena of extreme weather and changing temperature patterns, different acidification in the ocean. These are all things that can be explained by climate change. Whether or not you believe it or not, those things are measurable and real. And they are having tremendous impacts, let's say, on our fishing or our food production from the sea, shellfish, overfishing, all of these kinds of things that are part and parcel of the sort of the ocean perspective are things that we need to consider as a kind of new way of valuing and organizing ourselves. If you look at the old way, it was basically unlimited growth, fueled by consumption, supported by fossil fuels. Well, that may not be one to work successfully anymore. We see the collapse of the fossil fuel industry around us. There's all sorts of countries that are quite far along in alternative energy sources. So there's that to consider. Well, we also have to consider that there are energy sources in the ocean. It's an enormous heat pump. It has enormous amount of latent energy in the temperature differential in the water column. It has tidal. It has wave energy. These are all things that can be used to create new forms of energy that are not oil dependent. I've mentioned food. I've mentioned medicine. But you can also look at security and the security of our communities. I mean, Florida is a wonderful example. Not wonderful. It's a instructive example where you are at sea level. That sea level rise has tremendous implications. The diminishing of the aquifer by not conserving or not essentially taking care. That's a whole nother problem. And these things will affect not only just the livelihoods of the people who live in all these places all over the world, because it's not exclusive to any place. We're seeing it everywhere.
Right.
These things matter in terms of our well-being and our jobs and our families and the future generations that want to live on this earth.
But you had also brought up Florida, and humans have got to be good stewards. I mean, we've been down here, my family and I, for 42 years. My mother's an avid snorkeler. She loves to go to all the freshwater bodies that we have here and snorkel. And over the past 42 years, there are 3 certain springs that she swims in, Salt Springs and Rainbow Springs, and then there's another one. And over the course of 42 years, she's noticed a decrease in fish and undersea life because the humans have not been good stewards. There are water bottling plants coming up over our area, and it's very, very sad.
Of course, I couldn't agree with you more, and that's one manifestation of it in Florida. But you could look at, say, for example, the situation in the Middle East, where you have climate change, which increases drought. And drought has tremendous impact on the small farmers that are in Syria and Iraq and these areas. And they suddenly have no means of livelihood. They become unstable. They become vulnerable to political or ideological intrusions. They want to get out because they want to live, and they want jobs, and they want survival. So they migrate. And so what you can see, you could interpret, and people have, that the entire migration from the Middle East to Europe is climate induced. And that it's basically because of the water. And if you follow the path of ISIS along that river, along that area, you'll find that they're doing just what the ancient peoples did. They're following the Tigris and Euphrates rivers from the mountains in Turkey all the way down to the Arabian Sea. And what you have is then a watershed. And that's where the great civilizations were, but that's also where the towns are that we're fighting over. Now, those people are leaving those towns for that reason.
Well, and I think even in this side of the ocean, I mean, before we came over here, I guess you would say, when it was just the indigenous people, the Indians, they were all also gathered around the water areas. I mean, that's just the way life is. You go someplace where there's water, right?
Yeah. And we have people now. We have a modern migration in the United States away from the heartland to the coasts. Most of the great cities of the world are either on the coasts or at the confluences of the big rivers. And the urban problem with water is enormous because you have not only the concentration of people, but the concentration of manufacturing, the concentration of finance, the concentration of politics. All of those things that come to conflict as much or intensified in cities as they do as in rural areas.
Oh yeah, not to mention problems like a city like Flint is having right now, where
that's right,
where and politics gets its hands involved with the water, and now you have this horrible situation with the lead in the water. Let's take a little break. This is a fascinating topic. I want to make sure we get to some of the details in the book. One term we haven't brought up yet is hydraulic society. So when we come back, I want to make sure we talk about that. Peter Neal is our guest. He has written the book, The Once and Future Ocean. I like that, The Once and Future. We'll take a little break and be right back on the other side of the break. This is The Source, WOCA Ocala.
Weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. For this Monday, mostly sunny skies and becoming very mild with a high of 66 to 70. Partly cloudy Monday night, lows ranging from the mid and upper 40s in a few inland spots to the mid 50s on the coast. Tuesday, more sun than clouds, high 70 to 74. Wednesday, mostly cloudy with a couple of showers and thunderstorms, high 69 to 73. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Get it for less at the DIY Home Center outlet. Get top quality real wood cabinets the same or less than the big box stores are selling the cheap stuff. And that's not all. Drywall screws big box stores are $6.47 a pound. At DIY, only $4.99. Plus, DIY has the largest selection of mobile home parts and accessories anywhere. From carpet to doors, get the DIY supplies you need for less. The DIY Home Center outlet. We are your building material closeout store. 2191 Northwest 10th Street, just 2 miles east of I-75.
This is James Snyder, inviting you to join me each Sunday morning at 9:30 for Sunday Joy on 1370 AM, 96.3 FM.
Here's what you may have missed on the John Tesh Radio Show.
Common wisdom suggests we all want partners who are healthy and in shape, but less than 1 out of 10 men and women said they'd actually dump somebody who was too athletic, likely because the perfect physique could signal a vanity problem. Like when you see a friend laughing or crying and you start to laugh or cry too. And now it's been proven dogs have emotional contagion too. Just the sight of devices like Nest Cam and Piper are often enough to scare off crooks who don't want to be caught on camera.
Intelligence your line. Tesh Radio Show. Don't miss this stuff.
Stay informed on everything going on in the villages with the Village Spectator newspaper. The Village Spectator is exclusively devoted to the villages with news, commentary, and more. And yes, they have Tom's Picks, a free referral for people who are looking for a company to do work for them. Tom's Picks will refer the company that fits your needs, and all we ask is that you tell them where you heard about them. Call Tom's Picks at 804-1223 and pick up your copy of the Village Spectator today.
Now read Ocala Downtown newspaper online.
Career Source Citrus Levy Marion brings together business and community partners, economic development leaders, and educational providers to connect employers with qualified, skilled talent and job seekers with employment and career development opportunities. Tune in the first and third Wednesday of each month at 9:30 a.m. to Career Source Citrus Levy Marion and learn how they can help you.
All right, 10 minutes before 11 o'clock. This is a fascinating conversation. Every once in a while, there's a story about scientists finding a planet that say looks like another Earth. If we ever need to go someplace, we'll go there. And I was like, really? It's like 4 light years away at least. I think it was the closest one I heard about. Why can't we just fix this place? 4 light years away. We're having a hard time. We're having a hard time just getting to Mars, and that's not even inhabitable right now. The way it looks like, we've got a place right here. We can clean it up. Peter Neal is our guest, the Once and Future Ocean. So, Peter, explain what is the Hydraulic Society. What will that look like?
It's interesting that you mentioned Mars. We actually know more about the surface of Mars than we know about the floor of the ocean.
I bet you're right. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's an enormous unexplored area. So Hydraulic Society is a term that was actually coined to describe societies that exist historically, the Aztecs and great civilizations in India and the Middle East. And they were totalitarian and they were built on slave labor, but they were organized around the idea of the movement of water, that water was the most essential thing that they needed for every aspect of their life. And so they created these situations. And when their populations overwhelmed the ability to sustain the water, they collapsed. Now, I argue that that's a model that we should look at for the future, that it should be a new paradigm on how we organize ourselves in the future. Take the most valuable thing on Earth, the thing that every one of us needs in equal amounts to survive, and build around it a new system of how we value things and how we organize ourselves to sustain ourselves in the future. Now, that's exactly what we've been doing for the last 150 or 200 years around oil. But if oil is no longer available to us, or if it is overwhelming our society where negatives are stronger than positive, then we need to move to a new idea. What's next? And so Hydraulic Society